Tonight, breaking news from the South China Sea. A Philippine resupply mission has erupted into a dangerous confrontation. What should have been a routine run to the BRP Sierra Madre at Ayungin Shoal became a flashpoint. Chinese Coast Guard ships, far larger and more powerful, moved to block the Philippine vessels. Onboard footage captured aggressive Chinese maneuvers, ships coming perilously close, horns blaring, and powerful water cannons unleashed. The risk of collision was real, the intimidation unmistakable. The Chinese goal forced the Philippine mission to turn back. This is not an isolated event, but part of a pattern of escalating aggression in these contested waters. The world watched as the Philippine crew stood their ground, defending not just supplies, but sovereignty. This incident highlights the daily risks Filipinos face to maintain their presence in their own exclusive economic zone. Shockwaves rippled from Manila to Washington. International leaders condemned the aggression, calling for restraint and respect for international law. For the Philippines, this was a direct challenge to national sovereignty. For the world, it's a test of the rules-based order. The question now, how will the Philippines respond, and what role will its allies, especially the United States, play? The answers will shape the future of this critical waterway. The stakes have never been higher. The world is watching. The Ayungin Shoal confrontation is just the latest in a long, tense saga. The South China Sea is a vital maritime artery, with trillions in trade passing through each year. Overlapping claims from the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and especially China, fuel constant friction. This isn't just about islands, it's about resources, security, and national pride. The seabed holds oil and gas, the waters teem with fish, and millions depend on these resources. Once, there was uneasy coexistence. Now, hostility is the norm. Filipino fishermen face harassment from Chinese maritime militia, vessels that block, intimidate, and outnumber them. The Philippine Coast Guard is outmatched, forced into a daily dance of assertion and avoidance. The sea has become a front line. The world is watching because freedom of navigation is at stake. If might trumps right here, what does it mean for other disputed waters? The South China Sea is now a test case for global maritime security. Every encounter risks miscalculation, and a spark that could ignite a wider conflict. The stakes are global, not just regional. The rules of the sea are on the line. The world cannot look away. At the heart of the tension is China's massive island-building campaign. Over the past decade, Beijing has turned reefs into military outposts, complete with runways, radar, missiles, and deep-water ports. These artificial islands project Chinese power far from its shores, allowing rapid response to any perceived intrusion. China justifies this with its 9-dash line, a sweeping claim covering nearly the entire South China Sea. But international law and neighboring countries reject this claim. By building islands, China is creating facts on the water, difficult to reverse and deeply destabilizing. The environmental cost is catastrophic. Coral reefs destroyed, fish stocks depleted, and marine ecosystems devastated. For local fishermen, the loss is personal and immediate. These military bases have raised tensions and inflicted lasting damage on the region's environment and livelihoods. China's actions are reshaping the strategic and ecological landscape. The world is left to grapple with a new, militarized reality. The stakes are not just political, they're environmental and human. The South China Sea will never be the same. The consequences are irreversible. In 2013, the Philippines took China to court, challenging the 9-dash line at The Hague. The tribunal's 2016 ruling was a sweeping victory for Manila. China's claims were declared baseless under international law. The court affirmed the Philippines' exclusive rights to resources within its 200 nautical mile zone. The world hailed the decision as a triumph for the rules-based order, but China rejected the ruling outright, calling it waste paper. Beijing ignored the verdict, continuing its activities and even ramping up aggression. The Philippines had won on paper, but lacked the power to enforce the decision. The legal victory brought pride, but little change on the water. The standoff only intensified. The world saw the limits of international law when might refuses to yield to right. The South China Sea remains a dangerous flashpoint. The rule of law is on trial. The struggle continues. Behind the headlines, Filipino fishermen bear the brunt of this conflict. For generations, these waters have been their lifeblood. Now they face constant harassment, chased, blocked, and sometimes attacked by Chinese vessels. Many are too afraid to fish in traditional grounds, forced closer to shore, where catches are smaller and competition fierce. The result, shrinking incomes, deepening poverty, and families left in fear. A way of life is vanishing. Young people are turning away from fishing, seeing only hardship. This is more than economics. It's about dignity, identity, and survival. These fishermen are on the front lines of a sovereignty struggle, armed only with nets and hope. Their daily fight is a powerful symbol of what's at stake for the nation. The cost is human, immediate, and profound. For Manila, the West Philippine Sea is a diplomatic minefield. The government must defend sovereignty while managing a complex relationship with China, a major trading partner and powerful neighbor. Past administrations tried quiet diplomacy, hoping economic ties would ease tensions. But while talks dragged on, China built islands and harassed Filipino vessels. Frustration grew at home. Now Manila is taking a more assertive approach, publicizing every incident, releasing footage, and inviting journalists to witness confrontations. The goal rally international support and pressure China through transparency. It's a high-stakes gamble, balancing nationalism, economic interests, and security. The government must weigh every move. Too aggressive and risk conflict, too passive and risk losing ground. The diplomatic tightrope is perilous. The stakes, national dignity, economic stability, and peace. Every decision is fraught with risk. The world is watching Manila's next move. As tensions rise, the United States has stepped up its presence. American warships now patrol the Philippine Sea, a clear signal of support. Joint military exercises, like Balikatan, have expanded with thousands of troops training for crisis scenarios. The 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty commits both nations to come to each other's aid. U.S. officials have clarified an attack on Philippine forces in the South China Sea will trigger American defense commitments. This visible support boosts Filipino morale and deters aggression. The alliance gives Manila confidence to defend its waters. The U.S. presence changes the strategic calculus for any would-be aggressor. The Philippines is not alone. The cost of hostile action is now much higher. The balance of power is shifting. The stakes are unmistakable. The Philippines is not relying on the U.S. alone. It's forging new partnerships with Japan, Australia, and European allies. Joint patrols and intelligence sharing are on the rise, creating a web of security across the Indo-Pacific. This coalition sends a message. Upholding maritime law is a shared responsibility. When a Philippine vessel is harassed, it's a challenge to the entire alliance. The conflict is now internationalized, increasing diplomatic pressure on China. In today's world, security is collective. The era of standing alone is over. Peace and stability require cooperation. These alliances are built on shared values and a commitment to the rule of law. The region is more resilient together. The power of unity is real. The world is watching and responding. The South China Sea dispute is more than a regional quarrel. It's a global crossroads. At stake, the future of international law, freedom of navigation, and the global economy. 1/3 of world trade passes through these waters. Any conflict would send shockwaves worldwide. If force overrides law here, it sets a dangerous precedent for other strategic waterways. The freedom of the seas is a cornerstone of global security and prosperity. The risk of escalation is ever present. A single miscalculation could spark catastrophe. Preventing conflict is a global imperative. The world's peace and prosperity hang in the balance. The choices made here will echo far beyond Asia. The stakes are nothing less than the future of the international order. The world cannot afford to look away.